Tonight, Scotland's largest teachers' union urges members to reject the latest pay offer. Also tonight, on the wrong track, ScotRail's voted as one of the worst train companies in the UK.
I don't think it's great, travelling abroad. I think the rail service abroad is probably better than it is in this country.
The campaigners leading the fight back against antisocial behaviour in their communities. And fair foe your honest, sonsy face. How will you be celebrating the Bard's birthday? Good evening, I'm Ben Phillip and this is the STV News at 6, live from Aberdeen. Good evening. Council leaders have agreed to put an improved pay offer to teachers in an attempt to avoid strike action. The local authority umbrella group, COSLA, has described the proposal as very generous. But unions say the improved offer does not go far enough. They are recommending their members reject the deal and move to a strike ballot. Here's our political correspondent, Ewan Petrie. ScotRail has been voted as one of the worst train companies in the UK, the consumer body which surveyed passengers from across the country. It ranked 23rd out of the UK's 30 train companies. 1 in 4 commuters on ScotRail services find travelling frequently stressful, and 26% of Scottish passengers distrust the rail industry altogether, a rise of 7% from last year. The companies say they are working to improve the service, but admit there have been challenges over the past few months. Stephen Brown reports. And Stephen joins me in the studio now. Stephen, what are ScotRail saying about this?
Well, we asked both ScotRail and the Transport Minister for an interview, but neither were available today. Now, what the company have said in a statement is that they are disappointed by the results of the survey, but they're not really surprised given the problems of the past few months. For their part, the Scottish Government, they say they know over the last year the service hasn't been good enough. They say that's why they've told the company to make improvements.
So that's what ScotRail are saying. What are the passengers saying about it? What are the customers saying?
Well, I think many passengers won't really be surprised at the results of today's survey, although it is important to point out many will be happy with the service that they are getting. This all comes on the back of that ticket price rise that we saw at the start of the year, 2.8% on average, albeit that was lower than in England. Now, next week we will get the results of the National Rail Passenger Survey. Last spring, ScotRail got 84% overall satisfaction rate. Figures next week will take in September to November, and given what we've seen over that period of time, it could be that those figures really do give food for thought for ScotRail.
Stephen, thank you very much. A detective has told the trial the injuries suffered by a mechanic found dead in his Aberdeenshire home were the worst he had ever seen. The body of Brian McCandy was discovered at his cottage near Rothy-Norman in March 2016. Stephen Sidebottom denies his murder. Ross Govins reports. An oil worker has died after falling off a platform in the North Sea. A major search was launched when the alarm was raised yesterday morning in the Culzean field, 145 miles east of Aberdeen. His body was later recovered. Hebrides Energy, a community interest company that provides cheaper power for islanders, is reassuring customers after supply partner Our Power ceased trading. The not-for-profit energy supplier blames a sharp increase in the wholesale price of electricity. Regulator Ofgem has to appoint an immediate replacement. Latest figures show 1 in 4 women in Scotland aren't taking routine smear tests. Gillian Walker from Forfar says the 5-minute procedure saved her life. She's spoken about her experience during Cervical Cancer Awareness Week. Susan Nicholson has the story. The University of Aberdeen has announced £100 million plans to expand its Middle East campus in Qatar. The new facility near Doha marks the second phase of its partnership with the Fala Group. The developments will increase courses in science, technology, engineering and mathematics. Now, a massive volcanic eruption on Skye is likely to have caused major changes to the world's climate. Researchers uncovered new evidence which claims the explosion 56 million years ago led to global warming then. By studying rocks in the area, they concluded it was one of the biggest ever eruptions. Now, it's an issue that blights people's lives across the country. Around 1,000 reports of antisocial behaviour are made to Police Scotland every day. Now, a community in Murray is taking action to try and stamp out such incidents and make their community a safer place to live. Nicola McCally reports. And that brings us onto the sport with Chris Harvey. So Chris, another busy weekend of sport, and Dundee United can go joint top if they win their game this weekend.
Really exciting game tonight. In Burns country, of course, as well, down in Ayr, not quite Alloway. The Honest Men. I'll be glued to the television tonight. Looks like it's going to be a cracker down in Ayrshire.
Well, it's that time of year again when Scots across the world raise a glass to toast our national bard. And on his 260th birthday, Robert Burns continues to be a poster boy for Scottish identity. But are traditional Burns suppers still the norm, or are there new, alternative ways to celebrate? Laura Alderman has been scouring the northeast to find out. And that takes us onto the weather. And Sean, a very happy Burns night to you. How will you be celebrating this evening?
Well, I've got the tartan tie on for you tonight. I'm hoping to pick up a haggis on the way home. Hopefully I've not left it too late and end up with beans on toast. Fingers crossed. But do you know what? Burns actually was a big fan of winter himself, and he wrote this dirge here. Wintry west extends his blast and hail and rain does blaw. Or the stormy north sends driving forth the blinding sleet and snow. And do you know what? That's actually quite a good summary of what's to come in the coming days. So let's head off and have a look at the forecast.
That's all for this Friday's edition of the programme. I'll be back with the late news around 10:30. From everyone here, have a very happy Burns night. Bye-bye.